The Holcim Foundation Awards is proud to partner with The Urbanist on Monocle Radio. The Holcim Foundation Awards is the world's premier competition for sustainable design, highlighting projects that contribute to the transformation of the building sector. Awarding $1 million in prizes, it honours excellence in sustainable design and construction. By showcasing innovative, soon-to-be-realised projects, the awards drive change and inspire a new generation to adopt responsible design practices. Entry for the next awards competition is open now. Find out more, get involved and submit your free entry. Go to holcimfoundation.org/awards. The Holcim Foundation Awards, proud partner of The Urbanist on Monocle Radio.
Welcome to the fifth and final in a special series of tall stories brought to you by the Holcim Foundation Awards, the world's premier competition for sustainable design, highlighting projects that contribute to the transformation of the building sector. I'm your host, Andrew Tuck. In each episode, we welcome one of the jury chairs to explore their views on creating uplifting places, fostering a healthy planet, developing viable economics, and building thriving communities. We ask them how their careers began, the pillars of their practice, and what their hopes are for the future of the industry. This week, we speak with the Japanese architect and founder of his eponymous studio, Sou Fujimoto.
From my childhood days, I really loved making things. But when I was a kid, I didn't notice that the architecture design was making things. And then when I was 14 years old, I found a book in my father's bookshelves about Antonio Gaudi, and I was really impressed. And I understood that the architecture design is also a really creative thing. I was more interested in physics. My hero was Albert Einstein. It's not the physical things, but thinking about new theory or framework. It was also like really creative thinking. And I was really fascinated by that. And then finally, when I get into the university, I realized my brain power is not high enough to do physics. It was an accident, finally, to choose the architecture design. But of course, it was very exciting for me. It was like, for me, the same sensation as Albert Einstein, like a revolutionary thinkings. After I was graduated from university, I really loved to be an architect, but I didn't know how. I was thinking about working for some Meister, but at that time I was so shy, so I couldn't bring my portfolio to any architects. So finally, I felt I like to be alone to think about my architecture. It took 6-7 years, and it was very precious period. It was like a strange meanderings or a strange sunken period. After 6-7 years, I decided to open my office, but of course, not so easy to get many projects. So one by one, realized those things. The environment I was growing up, it was like in the middle of nature, really beautiful countryside, a small forest and a nature field. So I was really grown up together with the nature. And then when I get into the university, I moved to Tokyo. And this contrast between the Tokyo super artificial situation and my hometown beautiful nature made me deeply think about the meaning of this nature. And of course, architecture design is making artificial things. But then what is the meaning of my beautiful environment I was growing up? So those contrasts and probably the integration and harmony between nature and architecture was starting to be very, very important things. One more important thing was my father was a psychiatric doctor. And then my first project was to design a small extension for his hospital. And before that, the psychiatric hospital was almost like a prison in a sense. But my father didn't like it and then tried to make it something new, something different, more human. Individuals should be respected, but at the same time, should not be isolated. So nature, architecture, and the people, those things are very, very important. If you think about the good relationship between nature and the people's activity, people's life, the larger meaning of the cycle of the environment and the entire world, it's really crucial. Of course, they are relating to my personal background, but at the same time, also relating to my cultural background, the Japanese culture, relating to the nature or life together with the nature. So as one of the Japanese, I try to understand it and then try to reinterpret those kind of traditional Japanese cultures into the future visions. So this is also quite important to think about sustainability. I think our society needs architecture, but it should not exclude all the other nature or all the other animals. It should be together. So for those kind of long-term visions, we should work very hard. And those interrelationship between nature and architecture is simple theme, but fundamental, I think. But how we can harmonize the nature and architecture, and then our creativity is needed. Various different way of solving the problems, and then those diversity of our thinkings and background could contribute for those kind of visions. And also how we can respect such a wonderful diversities, but at the same time how we can be together. I believe the architecture making the place is possible for diversity and unity in the nature and architecture together. So I'm optimistic, but we need to work very hard and we need to discuss together to find out the right path.
Tall Stories is a Monocle production from the team behind The Urbanist. This episode was brought to you by the Holcim Foundation Awards. For more information, visit holcimfoundation.org. I'm Andrew Tuck. Goodbye, and thank you for listening, City Lovers.